So you know, some days you just want to ride alone and not have a big fat black pillow following you around all day. Well, today I'm going to put a new seat on my '01 Road King, and I'll still be able to put the old one back on for when the wife wants to go for a ride. So first thing we're going to do is take the old one off, and I already removed the screw in the back. And then I got to take this bracket off, which is for the backrest. So before I put the new seat on, I got to do a little house cleaning here. This box is the turn signal auxiliary box, and I had it mounted under that bracket so it wouldn't get crushed like it was the way it was mounted before. But I'm going to need to move it probably underneath somewhere. And before I do that, I'm going to need to move the starter relay. If I move it over one socket in this boot here, I'll have some room underneath to put the turn signal box. And what it does basically is when you hit the brakes, the turn signals go red as well as the brake light, and you can still use your turn signals as normal. The way this bike came, when you would hit your brakes, only the tail light would go red. So I got the box hooked back up, and I got it tucked behind the wiring harness here, and I'm going to put some zip ties back on that I took off. Lots of zip ties. You know, it's a Harley, it shakes. So if you got any wires that are moving around, they're probably going to find a piece of metal to cut right through them, or at least cut the sheath. Then we're going to try the seat, and just looking here to make sure that I got clearance under there for everything, and I do. Looks good. I'll move a hose around a little bit. That's to the shocks, the air shocks. That all looks like it'll work, so I'm going to put the battery back in. And we're going to test those lights. I'll show you how they work. So basically, here's a brake lights when they come on, brake lights with a turn signal, or I'm just testing the turn signals, and then brake lights with a turn signal. So basically, you know, you got a lot more light back here. You got 3 points of light instead of just one when you hit your brakes. That's basically how it works. And I'm just testing the flashers. Now this seat I got came from Maximum Motors on eBay, and it's a Corbin-Gentry. It's a little firm, a little firmer than I expected, but basically it's put together pretty well. It's got a metal shell or base, and the vinyl's pretty tough feeling. It feels like it'll hold up for a while. I did find one little problem here. It's not a big issue, but basically when they painted this base, they had already threaded holes. So there's a bunch of paint down in the threaded holes for these bolts to put your rear brackets on. So I basically had to just run all the screws in, all 4 screws, to kind of pull that paint out of there. And it almost feels like you're cross threading when you're putting them in, but just make sure they're straight and put them in. The other nice thing about the seat is it's got like some felt or something here on the bottom, which isolates it from the battery, obviously. Isolates the metal base from the battery. For $135, which is what I paid for it with shipping, I was pretty impressed with it. Okay, I'm going to try the seat on here, and first thing I notice is that the back brackets are a little bit narrow, but they do have a little bit of flexibility in them, so you just kind of pull them apart, and we'll go down over the studs. I'm just checking now again, make sure I got no clearance issues around here. I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to, as I screw these down tight now, I'm going to make sure that I spread them out as far as I can. Put it back on, get my bolts, put them in, and the bolts, I'm just reusing the bolts that were on there, so they weren't chromed. I'll have to get some chrome nuts or something to clean up this rear end a little bit. I'll probably get some chrome dome nuts. The seat basically comes with just the seat, the 2 brackets, 4 bolts for the brackets. But it fits like a glove. There's a little cutout you can see there for the crash bar, and it's perfectly positioned. Now there was a little bit of play here in the front, but all I had to do was loosen it back up and give it a couple whacks, get it to go forward and set better, and that tightened up. So let's put it back together, and then we'll go for a ride. So I want to show you something real quick here. This grab strap. Normally these things you have to take the bolt off the saddlebag mount completely to get them off. But you notice I cut a little slot in there to make that easier. Now I'm just checking the lines. I don't really like how the lines are sticking out, but we'll see. Now for the full coolness factor, I have to take off the front windshield before I go for my ride. So I'll also do another review maybe 6 months down the road and see how the seat held up. Anyway, thanks for watching, and please subscribe, comment, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Thanks again.